Hello everyone and welcome to my new video, and this is the latest video in my Mario Fest, and this is Super Mario Bros. 2 All-Stars. Now, I did a little bit of research for a change before I did this video because I wanted to get to the bottom of why this was Super Mario Bros. 2 when Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels was Super Mario Bros. 2 in Japan. Now, it appears to boil down to the fact that Super Mario Bros. 2, the Japanese release, was deemed to be insufficiently different and also exceptionally difficult. And Nintendo was worried that when this went into the Western marketplace, as in North America and Europe, it would be poorly received because it was too difficult. And it would appear that this version of Super Mario Bros. 2, which is called Super Mario Bros. 2 in the West, was a game that Miyamoto already had in development, and they decided to go with this and call this Super Mario Bros. 2 because this is quite a radical departure from the original Super Mario Bros. As you can see, Mario can pick things up and chuck them at the bad guys. The bad guys are different, and these power boxes and what have you everywhere, which were by and large not included in the original game. I mean, these bad guys are considerably different. They're not the usual Koopa Troopers that you see in Mario games. And you'll also notice there isn't really much in the way of collecting coins and stuff. And you can also choose from any of those four characters, like bloody Mario, Luigi, the Toadstool fella, and I'm assuming that's Princess Peach, although it probably isn't. Probably got a different name, I don't know. But anyway, you can select from the four different characters. So this sort of sheds some light as to why this was called Super Mario Bros. 2 and why the original Super Mario Bros. 2 ended up being renamed The Lost Levels. Do I think Nintendo made the right decision? They probably did, actually, in hindsight. There isn't a great deal of difference between the Lost Levels and Super Mario Bros. Certainly on the All-Stars bundle, because that's the only way that I've actually encountered it. And they were right. I mean, that is exceptionally difficult. It's very unforgiving, and right from the word go, the game seems to take a delight in punishing you. This, by comparison, is a lot easier, and it also is a lot different. As you can see, there's more vertical sections, there's just a totally different gameplay feel. It's far slower than Super Mario Bros. And it is more forgiving. However, I'm not sure whether I especially like it or not. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but it is quite a departure from the Mario series, and it's kind of interesting that when Super Mario Bros. 3 was released, that went back to more of the familiar Mario route than this one. And I think it was probably because of the fact that Nintendo realised that people wanted more of the original type Super Mario than they did this. This isn't to say this was dead easy, it wasn't at all. It took me ages to figure out how to defeat this boss, and it's essentially timing. You've got to jump on the egg that she shoots out of her mouth and then throw it back at her. I was trying also. I just kept trying to jump on her head until I accidentally figured out what I was supposed to do. Now, I came across this on the Game Boy Advance. This isn't the first time that I've played this. And I think this was actually one of the launch games on the Game Boy Advance, quite curiously. I am never playing as her again. Quite curiously, I think this was a launch title, and it came bundled with Mario Brothers, which is essentially the sort of static screen, sort of jump on the head, knock 'em over, beat 'em up, not beat 'em up, platformer type game, the sort of very old school one. That it came bundled with that. Yeah, it's not real. Again, there's not really a lot to say about it. As I say, it's quite a departure from the Mario series, and I'm glad they went back. I'm glad they went back to the original Mario theme way of playing. It just seemed. It seems to. You can tell it was never intended to be part of the Mario franchise as such. Although it's good in its own right, it just, to me, it just doesn't feel the same. It kind of sticks out a bit in terms of Mario games. People probably accepted it more, but it just didn't seem to fit into the world really. It to me just feels like Mario was dropped into an unrelated game series in an attempt to placate Western audiences who probably couldn't take the tougher difficulty level thrown at them with Super Mario The Lost Levels. And I say, I think they probably made the right decision in hindsight, but I think if I'd have been a Nintendo fan at the time and I knew that there was a Super Mario Brothers 2, which was very similar to the original Super Mario Brothers, but was more difficult, more of a challenge, then I would have been disappointed if I'd been given this instead. You know, I think there's a lot to be said for entrusting your audience to be able to cope with something more difficult. And as you can see, I'm still crap. What else is there to say? Thank you for watching.